Afternoon, everybody. I'm Dan Ogleby, and as you might be able to tell from the description and stuff, I'm actually coming to you today, someone from outside of the industry, just telling you about a bit about my journey, trying to break into my first role, and the issues I've faced along the way. Hopefully, some of you relate to it, and maybe some further discussions afterwards. So hopefully I can get this working. I'll tell you a bit about myself. From Hereford. I currently work as an estate agent at the moment. Have been doing so for sort of 7-8 years, so I've got sales background. Probably explain the reason why I've come today so vastly overdressed compared to everybody, but at least I made the effort to not wear the same shirt I'm wearing in that photograph. So a couple of other random facts. I've actually got 2 apprenticeships on my sort of stepping stones and career ladder to where I am now. I say German speaker, I mean A-level quality. I used to go out there quite a few times, like over school and college, and built my language skills, a lot of sort of self-learning as well. And music's another big thing of mine as well. Back home, I front a punk covers band, so I'm used to being in front of crowds of people. But usually I've got quite a loud guitar to sort of drown out hecklers, so this is a bit different, so please go easy on me. So probably started thinking, why cyber? Growing up and going through school and college, I've always been interested in tech. I've studied IT and GCSE at A-level, so that was always there in the background. But obviously after coming through sixth form college, sort of shoehorned into university, I did a business information systems degree at Cardiff University, which actually had a placement year, so that was obviously quite an attractive option when you're that sort of age, sort of 18, not knowing what you're going to do next. I went into that, but then I quickly realized that the university environment wasn't for me. I'm much more sort of hands-on, like to learn on the job, I like to earn money. So I took the decision to leave that. And then I went back home and I did an apprenticeship at insurance brokers for 12 months. And from then I sidestepped into property just to sort of work myself up a career ladder. And having done that for several years, I'm at the point now where time to make another career change, expand my horizons and my skills and experience I've gained over the last sort of 7, 8, 9 years. What better way or what better time than now to get into a tech-based industry? I landed on cyber from sort of various friends I've got in the industry who then told me for the first time that they're about this thing called a talent gap, which I will obviously come to later on, which hopefully will be the overarching sort of message of this talk. So going on from that, I thought, well, how can I enter the industry with the skills I have? So being a sort of sales-based kind of person in the role of selling property and our services, I thought, great, I'll try and find a sales job in security and just change up what I'm selling. But obviously it's been a few years since I've done tech. So I self-studied online, all in my own time, my own expense. I've just listed some of the providers of the courses that I've done myself. So places like Udemy and the Open University in Cybery, only just sort of doing fundamentals to begin with. But as I went along, I was learning about, or relearning a lot of the stuff I'd done in A-level and GCSE, stuff about hacking, social engineering, malware, firewalls, viruses, Trojans, phishing, social engineering, like I said. And the more I sort of went along and learned about all these things, the more I thought, this is kind of like the dark side of tech. This is what I'd love to get into. And the more I did, the more conversation I had with people I knew in the industry, I learned more about the offensive side of security as well. So like stuff like pen testing and red teaming. I thought, this will be for me. This is great. So then after all that process, I started applying for jobs. And this is a process that started basically at the beginning of 2023. So all year I've sat through, I would say, copious. I'll say probably like a dozen interviews, all ranging from startups that are literally sort of made up of one-man bands to the biggest names in the industry. I've had interviews with them all, well, not all of them, but, even has gone as far as second stage interviews, where I've had to do role plays and presentations, every time missing out, every time I would be losing out. They'll come back and say, great, interview, great, showing passion for the industry clearly. really great to get across the message that, the end game is to reduce risk and increase resilience. But we're talking to someone next week who's got 12 months experience in the industry. So, and I'd lose out to them every time, which is obviously gutting, but I've kept going. But ultimately, I'll be missing out to people with previous experience. And I thought it might just be a one-off thing, but it's literally since the beginning of this year, it's happened again and again, time after time. Got to shout out recruiters though, because it's obviously a natural part of any career change. I'm sure most of you in this room have probably had dealings with them. Had a lot of great chats with them over the last few months. Had lots of great advice. Really, really good people. Obviously, I guess we all know it's been a tough year. It's been layoffs, and obviously since COVID, the game's kind of changed. But none have actually managed to, or helped manage me sell my experience and my passion to any new employers. So after this, let me just sort of kind of take a step back, take stock, sort of reevaluate what my next move was going to be, and think outside the box as to the next steps. So I thought I'd put myself out there by start to attend some events and meet people face to face. So the first one I attended was the International Cyber Expo here in London. As you can see, I included a screenshot of my pass for the day. I put myself down as a trainee in cybersecurity, which obviously, from the nature of this talk, I am not. So I was quite chuffed myself. I basically pulled off my first red team of an international cyber event. I got in to this event as someone outside the industry with no experience and no screening, by the way. Just got let straight in, and there I am in the middle of the Olympia in London, talking to CEOs, heads of sales teams. Even sat 4 rows back from the senior MPs in the same room, and I'm sort of sat there like, I shouldn't be here. but no, what a great day that was. Met so many people, helped me grow my network, and obviously that face-to-face interaction really helped sort of, get across sort of my situation, going for the human approach and just getting across my situation, like I said, and trying to get across my passion and just trying to make as many contacts as I can. To help land that first role, and I carry that forward. I went to the expo at the QE2 back in October as well, with much of the same. But even still, after that, the first role still eluded me. So, what next? Here I am talking to you, lovely people. I've got to give shout outs to James Bohr and to James Mason for sort of talking me into this, but also opening doors for me that there is a community here of people who obviously listen, give support, but obviously it's kind of for my benefit doing this, but ultimately inclusivity affects everybody, whether it's someone like me who's got no prior industry experience but might have transferable skills. Obviously, there's a lot of media coverage of like women in cyber and all these different things, so it affects everybody. So that's kind of the aim, really, to create the discussion. And now I come on to what I said before, the talent gap, which is continuously pushed. It's a bit pixelated, but hopefully you can see. So even you've got outlets as big as Forbes. These articles are all from this year, end of October. So they're still pushing this narrative. Forbes is saying there's the quest to close the cybersecurity talent gap. There's CSO, they're saying that there's a shortage that's reached 4 million despite a recruitment drive. And even you've got Pinset Mason on the end there, even going as far to say the skills gap is a ticking time bomb for the industry. Obviously, I'm reading these thinking, like, why is this still a thing when I'm struggling myself to land my first role? And just going on from that, the articles sort of continue to say, that top one there saying Gartner predicts that by 2025, more than half of significant cyber incidents will come from a lack of talent as well as general human error. I've had some good conversations earlier. We're talking about sort of human error being, a key part in the industry. That kind of lands back to the point where you've got to kind of diversify and get people from all different backgrounds to help solve the issues that we have. So highlighting the bottom article there, people from varying backgrounds can bring diverse perspectives to problem solving, which is a key skill for cyber professionals. And if the media is driving this, why is it still an issue? And that's kind of what I want to bring to you today. So the takeaways from what I'm trying to say really is, from my experience, I think there kind of has to be quite a big mindset change. I think the industry kind of has to think outside the box even more, just to look beyond the industry where it's only hiring people in the industry, and we want to sort of try to avoid maybe a culture of people job hopping, and really look at the greater talent pool of people that are outside of the industry, to see what skills can be brought in from the outside, because we want to promote inclusivity, of course, invest in potential. And again, diversification, I think, is the solution. So yeah, that's about wraps it up. So, thank you very much all for listening, and I'll just leave you with that to finish on. If anyone wants to hit me up afterwards, thank you.
1, 2. If you've got any questions, then fire. Right, I'll work from the front. I think you've got it. No. Do you think so? You're being too polite.
Hi there.
Hi.
One of the things you were saying before is when you came to some of the events, you said you kind of felt out of place because you're not in the industry yet. How would you say you get around that sort of mindset?
Yeah, so I guess what I meant then is imposter syndrome, which obviously I think everyone kind of gets to a degree. Mm-hmm. But my attitude is if you want something, that much, you really you've got to push yourself forward to get what you want, and, really sort of believe you should be there if you're passionate enough about it. So yeah.
Thanks.
Well, I'll go for you.
Hey, thank you. I think we connected on LinkedIn. I don't know if you remember, but
oh, Celine.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Hi.
Hi. I in a lot of ways I could kind of resonate with you, because likewise I made a career pivot, and it took me several years of first getting interested in security about 11, 12 years ago, and it's only been the last 4.5, 5 years that I've actually finally made it. But yeah, you're right. It is quite difficult, and I think I just wanted to highlight that. I think you brought up a really good point around diversity. So I've worked in employee resource groups, DEI, and all of that. And often we've definitely noticed that inclusion is really about, it's really also about, it becomes like a class or an education access or even just, a different learning style kind of a thing as well, right? It's not just, those things can also get in the way. And I think, and you're right, that is something that I believe in the industry is something that's often missed. And, I can understand from a business perspective of, we want to save money, we'd rather do the less risky choice of a candidate with more experience. But you brought up a really good point around transferable experience, your work ethic, business, being driven, that kind of a thing. Because it's also about the soft skills and the other experiences that you can bring, and not just the technical stuff or the other stuff that you can actually learn on the job. I think it's something that you really need to look at. And like you said, it really comes down to a difference in background and being able to show a different way of thinking. It's like when you talk about board advisors, advisory boards, they always say, have a more diverse board, and that way you have more different views of looking at things or solving problems. And statistics do show that. So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to highlight that, because also I really do agree that it would actually help businesses, because that way they would have more different ways of looking at things, different ways of approaching a problem, innovation, solving problems, and all of that. And also it's about kind of, like you said, reducing the talent gap, right? We'll hear about this talent gap, and there's so many candidates trying to make it. In the US, you've got these jobs where they want entry level with a CISP, which is ridiculous if you look at the requirements for that. So anyway, I think kind of my question, I guess, is, sorry, that was really long. I think my question, I like you, I don't do well with the traditional education system at all. And likewise, it's more about sort of something that really helped was doing hands-on stuff and then being able to like blog about it or do some like online free CTFs and say, hey, I learned this, I did that. And I don't know if maybe you'd you'd consider a degree apprenticeship or like maybe not going back to uni, I suppose, but I would say probably also look at things like open source projects that you can contribute to, things like OWASP, application security and such. But yeah, sorry, that wasn't really a question. That was more definitely sort of things that I don't know if you've thought about, if you're looking at that as well.
Apprenticeships, I'm totally on board with. Like I said at the beginning, I've got 2 already, and I definitely had a third, which
The last 30 seconds.
Then we had 4 minutes. Sorry.
That's absolutely, demonstrate.
Okay. So open source projects is a fantastic one because they're always looking for assistance. There's no barrier to entry, only your time. And time is very valuable. And people respect your time in the open source ecosystem. If you find a bug, that's a great contribution. If you create documentation on how to better secure an implementation, it's a great contribution. It demonstrates that you understand the concepts, the technologies being used. Likewise, documenting what you've learned, sharing that. These are all really good things to augment your profile. The hard thing is how do you separate yourself from the competition? A bit like when you're positioning a property, you need to know both the buy side and the sell side. So you want to take those skills in selling and look at yourself and how you're selling yourself and augment that.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to draw it to a close now. So.
No, thank you all very much. Thank you.
Really interesting insight. Thank you.